Going on here. I'm Troy Kalak. I am a big fat nobody.
Whoa.
This is my son, BitGod, and that's my other son, Elmo Saves, or Saves the World. Guys, what's going on this week? I think everybody thinks we're dead. Like,
Thank you
really?
for the ketamine there. Thank you.
Ketamine?
Yeah.
Ketamine, man. You're a man after my own
Bitcoin
heart.
puppets, man.
We're here. We got a lot to talk about. Fucking, what's a fractal? What happened to
What the
runes?
fractal?
Where's Casey? What happened to that red phone I used to call him on? The production is suffering. Other than that, I'm gonna let you guys talk.
The production is
The
suffering.
production is suffering.
Oh, what happened there? We got another
we're
angle. We're fucked up. I don't know what's going on here.
I've heard we're suffering from budget
Yeah, some
loss
budget
here.
deficits here.
Yeah, but
This
that's
is-
obviously because ordinals are dead.
This is a shoestring budget. That's why.
You know who I blame? I
have
blame-
no shoelaces.
Those are expensive though. So can we donate those to the show here?
Here you go.
Come on now. Oh shoot!
God.
That almost took something out there.
Did your vape fall out of your shoe just now?
Yeah, I know he has it in his shoes.
These are like leather
This
socks.
is a more lax show today, right? This is a more lax show. We covered a ton of topics last week, and there hasn't really been much happening, and so we're just kind of like.
But at the same time,
No, not really. No.
Everything is happening. SEC, securities, NFT. Hide your wife. Hide your kids. Like, what's going on here? What are we tackling first? What's the easiest lift, guys?
I mean, we always want to start with the hardest, though.
Let's
right?
do it.
Like, I want to go in there hard.
Oh yeah, bent to the left. Okay, this is a
Okay.
children's show.
Oh my gosh, man.
Well, the hardest would that be the Wells
I
notice?
think the taxes.
The tax? Oof.
Let's
man,
go,
that's-
guys.
Okay,
Let's
we
fight
can
about
tackle
taxes,
that.
I guess, right now. Shit.
Yeah,
no.
get us up to speed on the taxes. What happened, Elmo?
I mean, ultimately, this has kind of been like a rumor that's been going on for quite some time, and definitely like a policy that Kamala Harris is, obviously taxes are always a big subject of a conversation when it comes to election years, right?
yeah.
So recently, or not so recently, I guess, Kamala has proposed that there's going to be a tax on unrealized gains. Now, ultimately, if you guys are uninitiated and you don't know what unrealized gains are, for the people that are watching, unrealized gains are essentially profits that you have off of things that you haven't sold yet, right? So typically the government will tax you on sales of things, right? So if you hold something for like a year or two or whatever, and you're more of a long-term investor, maybe you can get 50% or 100% or whatever, 1,000% returns on something, but you want to squeeze, the most out of your investment. Maybe you hold it for like a year or two or whatever, right? And that kind of carries into multiple tax years, right? But at the end of the day, unrealized gains or the tax on unrealized gains would essentially tax people on sales that have not yet been finished,
Yeah.
right? That have not yet been settled.
Well, I guess I'm really I guess in the clear, because since the start of 2024, all I've done is lost money. So I'm gonna be good. I'm incredibly poor now, so I'm good. But Troy,
look at your clothes, bro.
I know, but Troy, to you, I know you're in favor of this, right? I know you're in favor of this. Unreal.
You want to get taxed on
Like
unrealized gains,
you love
right? Yeah.
taxes. You love taxes.
I've beaten 3 audits. I've beaten 3 audits in the office at the IRS in New York
Wow.
City. I think it's on 44th Street. I forget. But look, not to get into my personal life, it's I'm not a big fan. Nobody's a big fan of the unrealized gains part. It's like, let us play ball when it's fair that I'm actually cashing this out, and then we can talk. But like, to do this on an unrealized gain, I think it's another form of stealing from us every opportunity. I mean, they're literally creating fake money out of thin air, and then we have to pay the fake money that we're working for out of thin air to back to them. And I just think I don't know. It's just like I have a really big issue with that. It's just another way. Like, why do you think people are fucking robbing other people? Why do you think people are like stealing and stuff like that? It just doesn't make sense. But yet you're going to have laws in California that lets, like, say, misdemeanor level went up to $950 in California. So you can steal that much money before you get a felony. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, what they're relaxed on and what they're not relaxed on.
I feel like that's kind of always been the law, though, right? I actually was the victim of somebody stealing money from like an old business that I had back in the day, and when I approached the authorities, right, I basically told them like this guy had stole like $3,000 or whatever from my business, and they were like, okay, so for every $950 or $1,000, that's a felony. So this was in the state of Idaho, right? So I don't know, if that's just like full out like rhetoric or whatever when it comes to the whole misdemeanor thing to felony. Grand theft kind of like line that needs to be crossed there. But like I think the whole idea of taxing unrealized gains is just scary, period, for anybody that's investing. And I think the current state of our economy right now is in such a way that like people feel like they have to figure out ways to escape the current inflation situation that we're in right now, right? And usually the best way to do that is to put your money, your hard-earned money, into some sort of investment vehicle. And so, maybe not everybody's investing, so this doesn't necessarily apply to everybody, but it's definitely a lot more people now are investing and putting their money in investment vehicles that can potentially outpace inflation than ever before, right? And that also kind of has to do with the advent of trading platforms like
on your phone.
Yeah, on your phone, like Webull or Robinhood
Venmo.
or Coinbase or
Venmo,
Venmo. Yeah,
too.
literally anything, right? They've all incorporated some way to help you potentially outpace inflation with your dollar value.
If you're looking at like politics, let's say, so you got let's call Trump the orange cube.
Oh God!
Sorry, I don't mean to
man,
relate.
whoa.
Sorry. No,
Take it
and then-
easy,
and-
amigo.
Well, he's crypto friendly,
Yeah,
right? He's
yeah.
running on that part of that
In
platform,
quotes, right?
Well, yeah. Even though it's not one of the top 20 things in his list of what he's going to do, but then you have the Democratic side that are just trying to like end that, right? So, and a lot of people in the world aren't in the field that we're in. There's a lot of big timers. The big money is in crypto, but that's not everybody in the world. They're not even being onboarded. So you have like they're digging in from the left to like crush this, and they're not even shying away from that. So it's just there's that. So they're going hard on that, and they're doing it up before the election. That's something I pay attention to. And then when you have these platforms that are like these political platforms like tax the rich, they're not really taxing the rich. They're taxing Bezos made $1.7 million last year as an employee of his own company. That's what he is on paper, like as an employee. That's what he submits for his taxes, not as the business entity. So that's how these rich people get away with that kind of stuff. So for the little people that are making gains and have life-changing things, like you have a new shitcoin caller who was broke last year. Now he's got $1 million, but he's not cashing that out yet. He's going to reinvest it. So you're not really rich yet. You just have a bunch of JPEGs that you're not cashing out. I don't know what my point is, but
I mean, that's literally the concept of unrealized gains, right? It's like, and that's where the dilemma comes in. It's like there's going to be a lot of people that like round trip bags, if they hold them over 2 years or whatever. And so like maybe 1 year they're up $1 million, and maybe the next year that $1 million position is worth like a couple thousand, but you had to pay 25% taxes on that $1 million position because that coming tax year you had this new, tax law that basically said that you have to give up 25% of whatever that $1 million is. Now I have heard that, and I don't know if this is accurate or not, but they're saying that will only be applicable to people making $100 million or more a year, which is like a very, very, very small slice of that pie as far as like tax brackets go. So it could just be another scare tactic. I think it's something that we should be taking into consideration.
go ahead, Chad.
What about the fact that like if this does only apply to people over $100 million, like how many of those people could easily just move out of the country and become an expat overnight? I think there'll be many countries that will gladly take, those people with that level of income as well as those level of assets. And so like, I don't know. I think that this is always going to be a problem. And I think that just, going over 100, it doesn't solve anything. Honestly, it just, it does nothing.
It just makes it inhospitable for people that are of a wealthy position to come in and reinvest within this nation that we have that we love so much, right?
I just think we're getting, like, as general Americans in this country, I think we're just getting kicked while we're down. And it's just like, let people make their money. Believe me, they will spend it in commerce in this country, for the most part. Like but if you're taking,
I guess, what do you mean though?
It's just like if I'm making a million, if I made $1 million off of a sale right now, and you take in California, you take 50% of that. Like, first of all, why do you get all that? Like, why do you get all of that? Because you're literally, every dollar that you print is a dollar in their direction, right? So everything is in their direction, but now you get 50% of that. That's almost uninspiring. Even my brother is a small business owner, but yet he's made millions of dollars. You got to hit certain brackets to where it's actually benefiting you as, like, say, the billionaires, that it's working in your favor, how to get into the loopholes of not paying as much tax. It's, and it's just like, they're not letting a lot of people win. And a lot of people, if this is an ad to, like, not move to America, this would be it.
I think that, like, I think you have the most opportunity though to win, here rather than, other countries. Like the tax codes, it's huge now, right? It went from, I think, being like 60 or so pages to now 1300, I don't know, 1,300 pages or so, right? It's crazy, right? But if you have the ability, right, and you are able to make, like you're saying, a crazy sale, then I think, like, one of the best things you can do is invest in both a great accountant as well as a great lawyer.
Absolutely.
And, like, I think you have the opportunity to do that. Like which accountant is which accountants out there are like, yeah, you just made a bunch of money, I'm not going to talk to you. Like there are people out there that can definitely help you manage these loopholes, and all of that is accessible here. Other countries, I don't think that's as accessible.
It's not,
and the opportunity to make that money as well, like, is here.
But at the same, sorry to cut you off, pal.
Sure.
But at the same time, like, my tax person from New York, right? So I've been there most of my life on the East Coast. When I moved to LA 10 years ago, I was her last. She doesn't want to work with anybody who works or does taxes that wants to work with her from California.
Sure.
But now that crypto came in a few years ago, when I started doing my crypto taxes, she did them for a couple of years, and she'll still do them, but it's a fucking headache because there's you have to reconcile a bunch of things. There's the new platforms like NFT tax calculator or whatever like that, and she's got to go through like stacks and stacks of more things in a different sector. It's just a big headache. They just, like the old fiat tax thing. They got their machine of their business has been working on fiat tax.
Sure.
And now there's this new thing. So you can find them out there, and there are crypto tax lawyers and accountants, but it's just not.
I guess that's what I'm saying though, is that, like, that to me isn't really, I think the bigger problem I could get behind is if people don't have the opportunity, right, to make money. If you have that opportunity, that's, I think, what's most important. Accountants being, complaining over, having to go through, miles of paper, whatever. Like, find a different accountant that's, that's down to do a younger accountant that's like, fuck yeah, I'll do that.
Young and hungry, yeah.
The bigger problem is when you don't have opportunity, and that's, I think, the biggest problem I see in many other countries is you don't have the opportunity.
But do we know that for a fact? That's another thing. That's another thing that I'm very well aware of. Where it's like I know you've lived in, like, different countries, or like me personally, I lived in the United States my entire life, right? Yep. So my head would tell me that America is the most fertile ground for opportunity. But I also see places like Dubai and whatnot that are offering essentially zero tax on income. And they're throwing billions of dollars at industries, essentially seeing America's current weakness and trying to capitalize on that, and fashion it into their own, like, advantage in growing their economy, right? And so it's like, I see things like that, and I understand obviously there's different tyrannical rules that may be governing those people over there, but, like, I don't know. Yeah, I think people should definitely keep an open mind about this subject and not just say that America is just the best, because statistically out there, like the only thing that America is number one in currently right now is in incarcerations, right? Which is not something that rings true to me as a land of opportunity. If the majority of your people are incarcerated and facing some sort of legal repercussions over whatever, like that, just that number and that data itself is not something that tells me that this is a land of opportunity.
They just passed the law recently, like a couple days ago in California. Like our tax money is now like helping a lot of immigrants, like the Venezuelans. I don't want to talk this, but like they're coming here and they're taking over neighborhoods, especially in Aurora, Colorado. Look it up, and that what does that do to your stomach when you're just fighting to pay your own taxes and live afloat and keep the lights on, when our tax dollars are going to these people that are just, the door is open to come over here, but yet a lot of them are criminals. And like, it's just that, like, it's like that's happening, but I'm at the tax office paying while my house is getting robbed. It's just like, it's kind of fucked. I mean,
it's
I know
scary.
it's far away from NFTs, but this opened up the conversation. Yeah.
But I mean, it's not super far away from NFTs, right? Because we're in like this weird tax situation working within this highly volatile. What's it?
So by the way, Spirit, I just want to look at some of the people in the chat. Spirit, that's so funny because me and my brother are looking to buy an avocado farm in Colombia. Yeah. What's up, CB? 1980.
Spirit. I too invest in backyard avocados. I think that was a shout out to me, but also I love his comment that he had over there where he says,
mine.
"Oh, you got
Huge tree. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. He says
Butoshi must have just landed in Chicago.
Where
What's
do
up,
I
Buto-
claim my unrealized losses? I love that. That's fucking hilarious. I mean, yeah, but this is a messy, very political conversation that, has like us three on this stage probably don't have the silver bullet solution to any of these things, but it's interesting to open up a conversation.
We don't, and to the people in the chat, all of you we know, we actually don't. Yes, there's tech. We're on Spaces for Tech and the fractals, which we'll get to, and all these things, but we don't. It's like we're afraid or don't have spaces with the same minds and the builders and the artists as people talking about this stuff, which I think we should allot some time for, even though you think it's a worthless thing. Well, fuck, dude. Like, there's some other shit going on in the world. Not just taxes, but like some ominous shit going on in a lot of sectors, wars over there in Israel, Lebanon. And I mean, it's just crazy. We're like, I think, man, does anybody care about their life? Are they afraid that something's going to happen besides taxes? So other than that,
we had this conversation the other day, Troy, and I think in these specific politically tense times like that always come during election years, I think the best thing to do is to remember that like there's a lot of rhetoric being pumped into social media, into your favorite media outlets, whatever it is, right? And all that rhetoric is essentially there to confuse you and scare you and steer you in the most extreme direction that you could possibly go. So the best thing you can do at this time right now is to take everything into account, take everything with a grain of salt, but also understand that like there's psyops going on, and if you buy into them, it can make you go fucking crazy. So if you can keep your hands steady and you can chill out and you can like, take everything with a grain of salt and not have this like visceral reaction to it, I think it'll benefit
I do
you.
like Chad's take. He hasn't said it yet, but he said it on a call yesterday. He goes, I think we stay here and fight. And I don't mean it's like, hey, go get an arsenal, but who knows? But just like, hey, don't leave until you have all the facts. Like, facts, that's a loose thing. But like, I have a great mentor in film, and he was like, find out all the information, then make your move. You don't know as much as you can to be able to make a move. When I say move, I don't mean move out of the country, but that could be that thing too, is that, dude, I'm thinking about, my daughter. I'm thinking about where my mom's at, my brother's at. How do you talk them into what you're thinking? Like, hey, do you want to like get a place somewhere else out there as another option just to like be together kind of thing? But anyway, maybe I'm future tripping, but dude, this is our future,
Yeah, I guess I think my, comment to it was not, I think I only realized that once after Elmo was like, well, civil wars, and the facts are true. But more so I was saying, like, stay and sort of fight, I think, with your voice, right? Like, I think that and your voice is in a number of things, right? It can be on, of course, social media. It can be in how you vote, all that sort of stuff. I think that's really, really important rather than, I think, which is just a bit of an easier route, right? Like I have another passport. I could just go live somewhere else for the rest of my life. I think that, furthermore, everything is really cyclical. And so I think, like, what we're seeing now, and I think the maybe extremism in, some places of the world, including the US, is it's a cyclical thing. I think in another 20 years, it could be entirely different, right? It could be that we're in maybe some sort of depression and, like, do not have, a ton of excess. I don't know, right? I think it could be totally different. And maybe at that point, it's time to move out. But
yeah.
I don't know. That's the way I think about it.
If I can say one last thing about this in comparative, like in zooming out and comparing it to, like, look what the story is here. Like, so if you like, there's a lot of people in the space that look at a project, let's say, and they feel like they can run it better, or they have thoughts, and they should, because if you've been at a job and there's 50 of you, let's say you're a waiter, it's like the asylum ends up running the place because they feel like they know better than the founder or the owner, right? That's the way I see the government. It's like, you can believe in who you believe in, but if you're not ever doubting them at one point, because they're a human, you don't know what's going beyond the Iron Curtain or beyond the backdrop. It's like, if you're not judging that and you're totally having faith, you have lost your voice. You always want to be like the masses, us humans, degens, trading, whatever. That common big ass collective is bigger than the 1% that's running all this stuff. So, like, keep an open mind and look past the fucking superficial, whatever we're being presented, and just got to be balanced and shit like that.
Well, I mean, and that's one of the biggest reasons why we do see a massive influx of, like, immigrants coming into the country, right? It's all because this idea of democracy that America has been built on is one that you don't find all around the world, right? And so that is what, that's at least what I took from BG when we were talking yesterday, when he said, we got to stay here and fight. It's like, you got to fight for what you love. You're here in America and you love America for those reasons of political freedom and the freedom of speech and democracy and all these things. And even though they might be under fire in various ways right now, leaving is not going to solve that. Right, and it's not going to better that situation.
That's what Spirit says. I'm not fucking leaving. Bye, cowards. And CB, I feel like Butoshi had maybe a weird boner. That's all I could possibly see coming from the apron. Just to answer your question, I don't know.
No, he definitely had stuff behind there.
Yeah, stuff. Yeah, some stuff.
Some junk.
Some skivvies.
Some junk.
Yeah, and
I mean, I think it's also about legacy too, right? Like, you've now. I mean, listen, I don't always swing that way, but like,
go ahead.
You know what I mean?
But on television.
But yeah, I mean, when IR Alpha says so. Go.
No, but back to legacy.
No, all I was saying was, like, it's also about legacy. I think in some way, like, how many movies and TV shows have you done here in the U.S., right, in Hollywood?
A lot.
Yeah.
And like, you go to. I know you were kind of talking about some country in South America. You go there, what's their sort of history with movies, and, like, all that stuff, it could be somewhat lost in the legacy of Troy if you move. I don't know. It's just my thought process.
That's a
right?
scary thing. Like the fact that some people come to this country like good-hearted people by themselves, no family here at all, like girls or guys. That's they have balls.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I could just. My daughter, she's not a little kid. She's 23. She has her own life. But, like, I don't want to be not near her. You know what I mean? That's my immediate family. That's like, I don't have 12 kids. I don't have 2 kids. But, like, to go to Colombia and just kind of, like, I'd have to acquiesce to that over time and know, like, the ins and outs of, like, not just the history on paper, but, like, do I feel grounded in this society and stuff like that. So there's a lot that we're unpacking here, and I like how loosey-goosey it was, but definitely fucking important. Other than that, yeah, thank you. See, Bless, why you
Bless
always
knows
got
what's
some.
up.
Bless always has some. Love you, Bless.
We can talk about Bless, right?
Yeah, let's talk about Bless. So the after effects. So Bless, if you don't know this yet, then you're fucking sleeping under a rock, or you went camping for a couple of weeks. This young man has become not just a friend, but like I'm just like yielding to his thoughts and what he's done. But he locked himself up in a basically an art gallery with no windows and fasted just water and drew about 100 assets, 3D. Iconic things in his style, and he did it, and it's slowly becoming very newsworthy beyond our little crypto bubble.
Yeah,
and it's probably going to reach Web 2 here in a sense. It's something that you can't stop. It's you got documentation. You're going to make a film about it, kind of thing, and like I don't know, man. I think he's going to be. I feel like at Art Basel, I think you were saying something like that. Could you see no, but just like I can see him at Art Basel like for a week. Have you seen the David Blaine exhibit?
Yeah.
But it's really like Bless just, not doing any tricks, but just like doing like that is like something to behold. You know?
Yeah, no, it was a pretty amazing project to embark on. Super ambitious on his behalf. In fact, that project, when he pitched it to me, was like the main reason that I decided to journey into ordinals and take a look at ordinals, and then that eventually led into me creating Orange Cube, and which is the online gallery that deals specifically with like ordinal inscriptions. But I mean the whole idea was pretty fucking crazy, right? It, like I said, super ambitious. I went into it being like, you know what, man, like he made it very clear to me that he was going to embark on this thing where he was going to essentially fast for 7 days and create art, and just only create art for those 7 days in a warehouse somewhere. And I thought the idea was cool, but there was some moments of hesitation where I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, is this something I should be involved in? Because it seems kind of outlandish, and like, what if he gets hurt and there's all these liabilities and whatnot? I mean, because part of it also was him being in augmented reality for 7 days straight, which no one has done, like, really. Like, that's not something that you see typically.
No.
I mean, you see people like living in virtual reality or whatever for 7 days, but not like sleeping with the goggles on. And having your augmented reality
and looking like one of the
reality.
band members from the early Strokes. Like he's wearing a fucking shirt and tie pants and not like sweatpants.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The other thing is it's a very minimalistic approach. Like he tweeted the other day about silence. Like he learned something from this. That was just one thing, right? That he's not just doing it for likes and stuff like that. But like let me show your Orange Cube for a little bit, and because these two guys right here, they're like art heavy. They both have art platforms, right? This guy's working with like super, movers and shakers, but like he's very thoughtful about what he's doing. And then you have Orange Cube, and two outputs that you put is Tantan. Tantan gaming art, unbelievable work. I mean, I couldn't believe how inexpensive this thing was. And then you have this performance art thing. Those are two projects out of the gate. Of course, Bless's wasn't for sale. It was more of
not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet.
But like out of the gate, like what can people expect? I think I know who's coming up next, but is like how do people get in touch with you besides DMs, and like what would it take to be a part of and like part of Orange Cube, and also like what would it take? Do people have to be famous and getting noise and have to do Beeple type of sales to be with Bitcoin Art House? Because earlier you were talking about today, right before the show, you were like, we should be a gateway to find, like, artists should be able to pick and choose where they wanted, like whether it's Gamma or this project or that platform or that platform. But I like the idea that not everybody's going to fit in Orange Cube, not everybody's going to fit in Bitcoin Art House, but they'll fit somewhere.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about the art world is like it's notorious for pigeonholing people. So it's like if you paint yourself into a corner as like like Bless, he was an augmented reality sculptor, right? Like he likes to sculpt in augmented reality. Well, that, like, if he were to essentially create a professional career and build a professional career off that, like, and tried to break outside of creating things in augmented reality, the art world wouldn't be very lenient towards that, right?
No.
They would be like, why are you doing performance art? You're an AR sculptor, right? So, the interesting thing about that is, like, they try to create these hierarchies within art itself, to say that, like, maybe one art is a little bit better than the other because it has these conceptual narratives behind it, and maybe this one, it might be aesthetically pretty, but, like, it doesn't necessarily fit within the contemporary art narrative. Like, these are all things that essentially happen here. Me personally, when I look at art, I understand that art is different on fundamental levels. Like, some art is conceptual, some art is street art, some art is digital in nature. Like, just because these things fit within these specific categories doesn't mean that they can't cooperate with each other and exist and kind of be equals in their own respects.
Okay.
And so when it comes to like Bless here for this specific situation, he's kind of broken outside of this Web3 space, and
totally
he's caught
agreed.
the attention
God,
of some Web2 people.
Yeah, I'm brewing with some ideas here.
Yeah.
So I keep seeing Bless with his googly eyes, and here's where I'm leading to with this.
Okay.
Is that Bitcoin friendly countries? First of all, Bless not only should be doing stuff, and he's probably already thinking about it, in El Salvador, and also Bali, which Nakib, I'm working with something with Bali. The Ordinals are doing something on the back in the back channels, but Nakib onboarded the country of Bali to Ordinals, like government approved. Like I've had meetings with the government officials that, like, they have a lot of artists over there that don't get seen in the world, right? So that's another Bitcoin friendly country. Bless. I hope to see you in Bali, let alone
Also,
El Salvador. Yeah.
Also, the United Arab Emirates, right? UAE.
Yeah.
They just announced recently that, like, they're creating, like, a massive effort not only to support digital art within their space, but I believe they're going to be opening a Guggenheim, which till this day was just in freaking New York, right? And it's like a New York museum institution, but they're actually going to be building one over in, I believe, either Abu Dhabi or Dubai, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but, like, the fact that, like, there's these countries that are essentially trying to open up their space to also be a cultural pillar for the rest of the world in this art space, which is kind of interesting.
One more thing, and then I want to hear from Chad, is that, so last year somebody made a take on, like, you got Art Basel, right? But you have, like, Fine Art World, right? And then you have the Web3 NFT projects and some artists, digital artists, of course. I saw a lot of, but the two sectors don't really meet and have wine and cheese together. But if you have a performance art thing, like what Bless just did, if that isn't a meeting place for conversation of, like, oh, you're also in digital art and on-chain stuff like that in the same spot, I think at Art Basel or something even something as big as that, where you have these old fine art world talking with digital artist on chain world, but with, like, the centerpiece of performance art, not just Bless. Like, that would be a great fucking kickoff. But other performance artists, or just you see artists that are in our ecosystem not performing, but, like, drawing in their own laboratory sense in a live gallery space with the fine art world and also the digital enthusiast world, like on chain. Like, I think that would be fucking awesome.
Yeah, and when it comes to digital art, like, for the longest time, I think when it comes to the contemporary art world and the fine art world, or whatever you want to call it, like, the thing that really kind of keeps those wheels turning and that economy going is paintings, right? Like, that is the main, like, medium that people like to purchase. They like to put paintings in their house. And so this idea of, like, digital art, when it kind of started, like, coming around towards the 70s with early generative art, but then also becoming more popular during, like, the early 2000s, late 90s with the net art and post-net art movement. I think there was, like, this separation where the fine art world tried to essentially say, like, yeah, that's cool, but, like, it's not a painting, right? So it's difficult to track. Like, before blockchain, there was a lot of people that were essentially just like putting that digital art on like a thumb drive or whatever.
Yeah.
And then that work can also be replicated as many times as humanly possible with no way to track it and sold to the highest bidder, right? And I've seen a lot of artists actually kind of come across these troubles even now today by not putting their work on the blockchain and trying to sell digital art independently through their galleries. And, some of these artists are like, oh, yeah, I got a different thumb drive back that I gave to my gallery, and they told me it didn't sell, but I get the feeling that they did sell it to somebody, and they just gave me a shitty fucking thumb drive before. And these are problems, right? But like, there's like this whole hierarchy that's kind of like built into this stuff. But like, when it comes to things like this, where Bless is trying to essentially merge the two,
Yes.
and figure out how to not only innovate within his sector of creating art on chain, but also kind of like move the conversation forward. And move this and dive into this culturally relevant topic of live streaming and basically, I mean, we're seeing it popularized on fucking everything. I mean, we're live streaming currently right now, right? Like, live streaming is a very relevant topic, and so like kind of like mixing that in to his work and breaking out and trying to do something different, I think is really cool, and it's caught a lot of attention. We're going to be on a show tomorrow. We're going to be on a Twitter space tomorrow with Noah Becker, the guy who's the founder and owner of White Hot Magazine, who's been around since, I want to say, like 2005, 2007 or something like that. And this guy has been like an institutional name within the art world, kind of like promoting new artists within this space.
And I think that's just like the start. And I think when the Ordinal show happened last week or this past Monday, then you're hearing Bless. You're hearing his voice, right? The artist. I think more people outside of this ecosystem need to, when they hear or see powerful shit, and then they hear the artist who's not dead, then you go, okay, I'm going to pay attention. That's how this person talks. Doesn't sound like a jerk. You can see where his head is going, kind of thing, or her head is going. That's what's important. Like getting to meet these people. You went to Switzerland, the real Basel this year. What was your experience, and like what was the mission out there to like do a taste test? Like what was going on for you, and why did you go out there to Basel in Switzerland?
Yeah, so I thought Switzerland was amazing. It's my home country.
It's your what country?
My home country.
Oh yeah,
my homeland. I'm Swiss.
Are you really?
I'm Swiss, and I have my Swiss passport. So yeah, it was awesome, right? I got to see some family.
Yeah.
And then also do some work. The goal out there was to meet as many artists and really galleries as possible. Did both of those things. I mean, the main Art Basel conference is like 4 floors and 900 galleries or so. Yeah. So it's just like, I mean, you're just art. Like you're surrounded by it, and you're surrounded, of course, by people that are really interested in this as well, whether it's collecting, selling, etc. So that was ultimately the goal. They also had a Web3 component there, right? And that was mainly sponsored by Tezos. Tezos was really the main sponsor for Art Basel. And I think I talked about it when I got back, but it wasn't really, I think, the best showing that you could have had from a Web3, presence or experience.
Yeah.
Just putting monitors on the walls and then, sort of hoping or expecting there'll be crossover, right? Or people interested in what we're doing is, I don't think, going to work, right? There needs to be an experience there, right? There needs to be something like what Bless did, right? That merges the two worlds, right? Like you can have a live stream, but he can also be working on, something that's eventually built on Bitcoin. He doesn't even need to ever mention that it's being built on Bitcoin,
I agree with that.
Right?
I'm so glad you said that.
He's working on something that's related to that. And like, then eventually you have a mint. And if people that did watch the live stream would like to learn more, they can, right?
Yeah.
As well as the people that are watching it because they're Bitcoin native, they can go and mint it, right? And so I think like things like that, I think are ultimately what will move the needle, as well as just like doing things that are cool, right? Like making it cool to do things on Bitcoin, right? Merging art as well as general culture with, Bitcoin is, I think, where you're going to have some success, right? So
yeah. well said. I just think that outside of this ecosystem, a lot of people are saying no hate to any of these people, but like there's a lot of traders here. It keeps the economy healthy. But you got a lot of fucking assholes.
Totally.
You got a lot of assholes who are like, yeah, it's a free speech kind of, whatever, but it doesn't really say free to be an asshole. But I guess that comes with it. And it just gets a bad name. It's like some of these people who come from like, the Web 2 world of like trying to do something important with art and stuff like that is like, why would we want to fuck with those dumbass fucking people that talk in such a way when there are great people here that are actually holding spaces that aren't like, number go up, we're doing a giveaway. It's just like we're dissecting and debating and having a conversation.
I think that's a really good point that you made, and that's a point that Bless was trying to like tap into when he did his performance piece. And ultimately, like, his performance piece was a response to people continuously hounding him for extra utility on top of his art, right? And people don't understand, because we do live in like this hyper volatile market, and we do exist within this market and trade within this market. People look for extra value props to essentially boost, their bags or their holdings and whatever their position is. And what he was trying to say is like, I don't have to. What I'm doing is I'm giving you art. I'm giving you the purest thing that I have to offer, and that is my creativity. Right. And some people, I mean, like a lot of you were here over the bear market, right? You guys didn't go. You guys were here during the bear market. You guys understand that, like, for the most part, nobody was buying fucking 10Ks or any sort of PFPs during the bear market. People were buying art, right? The only thing that you could sell during the bear market was art, right? It was a more or less kind of like a more stable, holder of value than any of these other, super volatile things or assets or whatever you want to fucking call them that were, inscribed on ETH or whatever, right? Like, people wanted art. Like, that was the thing that continuously moved because it resonated on people, or resonated with people on levels beyond volatility and number go up technology, right? And so he's trying to tap into that, and he was trying to essentially say, like, listen, you're looking for utility, here's my utility.
Yeah.
And it's art, right?
Yeah.
And like I said, like, it might be like the performance piece was obviously like really cool, and it was cool to watch him tap into creativity for those 7 days. And it was even cooler for me personally, as not only like a friend, but like someone that was helping him out with this project, to watch, like, over the course of 7 days, him actually mature as an artist, and like these ideas start to kind of like grow and, blossom into like new stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was really cool for me. But like, like, people got to understand that a lot of these artists are out here and they're struggling to make a buck, and the only thing they have to offer is art. And to be honest with you, a lot of their art is a lot better than any 10K PFP project that you'll ever be able to buy.
Yeah, yeah. They just like don't fucking stop. Like, you cannot stop. Like, you just can't. There's a lot of you. There's a lot of actors. Like, I didn't stop, but like, not everybody is going to make it. But you can't think like that.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do this, you just keep getting hungry. That said, I love how we just covered a lot of fucking shit naturally about this stuff, because we don't go 30 minutes on art a lot, which I think we can definitely do that. But let's get into, we got a few minutes left. Let's get into like Fractal, Bell's ecosystem just a little bit. I can touch on that.
Okay, the Bells.
All right, so Bell's, okay, so we're fucking 180-degree turn here. So the Bell's ecosystem, Bell's coin is a real coin. Bells in general is like one of the oldest, if not the oldest, crypto meme in our culture. And when Ordinals dropped, when it did, a few months after that, Bell's ecosystem, Bell's inscriptions came out, right? And now it's coming back. Like, there is the market cap on Bell's coin right now is about 50 million, if I'm not mistaken. And there are Bell's inscription projects that are out there. One of my partners has one, and there's this Bell's puppets, or this free mint that's coming out very soon is actually leading to something that's happening. There's a couple of marketplaces that are happening. So if you're looking into Bell, so it's a layer one. I think it's going to be a direct competitor to Fractal, and there is a fucking ecosystem already. There is no fractal ecosystem yet. I think with F6 that just minted today, there is a little bit of one to the people that bought, but still people are trying to figure that out. But what do you have to say about fractal and what's going on with that, guys?
Oh, so it was Bells then Fractal?
Well, I don't know. We were talking about Bells for a second. I'm just talking maybe both of them.
Well,
you know?
I think we really covered the Fractal stuff on the last show, and maybe our thoughts. Like, I think I agree with you, right? That there's not really an ecosystem right now. What's surprising is like some people have made really comparisons to Fractal being like something like Blast, right? Where it's like this isn't a very technical, sort of thing. This is a fork of or something similar to like BSV, right? It's been done before,
Rootstock,
but is more so like really a vehicle to, of course, pay back Unisat investors, but like something that's similar to Blast in farming points and farming rewards and like more of a social thing. But like the growth or I guess the marketing from like a Blast angle is not very similar. And supposedly like mainnet is supposed to go live on September 9th, right? Which is what, a week and a half away or so, maybe almost 2 weeks. And I think like you're saying, like there's not really an ecosystem. Usually when these ecosystems go to mainnet, like you want to have as many projects as you possibly can, like so that day one it's like, whoa, like this is something interesting, right? And so far I think the majority of Fractal projects are consensus kind of just scams.
Yeah, they're just ordinal projects lying in wait.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're derivatives of already proven models on ordinals. I don't know if that necessarily makes them a scam, but it definitely makes you a little bit fishy about that kind of like moving in. I think you mentioned something that's kind of interesting. I've actually been like having conversations with investors that have been looking at to put liquidity and allocate liquidity into the ordinal space. And you said that you have to have a hardy ecosystem, like something built out with like enough projects within the space for that liquidity to flow into. Or else if you get like if you have like 2 or 3 projects and you get like a $2 million liquidity injection or like a $2 billion liquidity injection into that space, then it's like you'll pump the fuck out of those 2 projects or 10 projects that exist and then crash the entire market. It'll be like really short-lived. So I think I haven't really looked into Bells all that much. I'm aware of like Fractal and like who's backing Fractal, and it's been talked about for quite some time. With Unisat and Binance partnering up for the Fractal stuff. But like obviously, like you said, there isn't like really a huge ecosystem that's built out there. So it'll be interesting to see how those differ. Is there projects on Bells currently right now? I'm not aware.
Yeah, there are.
Okay.
Bells Avatars is.
Oh, I know they had the Bells Puppets too, right?
So Bells Puppets is coming out soon. That's going to be a free thing soon. Collabs will be going out. That sounds like a fucking chill, but it is. No. I mean, you got to open your mouth at some point, right? Even if you're blessed, you go like, "Hey, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be streaming." Is that a shill? No. I mean, it's what it is. It's the alpha. So, but there is our Retordals artist has probably one of the first Bells inscription projects, and he has a whole Discord of like hundreds of people in there, like trading. Like they're frothy over there. They are, and it's and the great thing is it's already a meme. Like Bells, Bells is already a meme in general. So you already have like this layup to be able to create stuff with that concept, But for Fractal, I think one of the leading things for me to think about is that the possibility of faster trading instead of waiting 10 minutes, for things. So like that could be a frothy thing. Faster things, people stay. They don't have to wait 10 minutes or for block times and stuff like that.
Yeah, what is the block time on Bells?
It's it'd be like 2 to 9 seconds or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I mean, that's definitely more bullish.
Yeah,
because a lot of the biggest complaints with the ordinals and specifically like runes and BRC20s and atomicals was the fact that they're subject to sometimes like hour-long block times, right? So it's like if you can find something that's more quicker, then you're going to have more liquidity, able to like move in and exit on positions, which is going to give investors more confidence in placing their money in those particular spaces.
The other thing is that is anybody talking about runes this week besides like Billy Cat and Dog and stuff like that? I just feel like there's like 100 of us here, and development for these other sort of protocols don't stop developers, but it's like growing quicker than like Runes came out and made the market go sideways, right? So we're gonna think long term, but now you got Fractal and then you got Bells and like people, you can't stop people from building, but we don't have enough people in here to make one frothy over the other just yet. It's sort of just like, it's like a new league of sports has happened, and there's another new league of sports, and there's another new league of sports, and you're like, hey man, we don't have enough players to play kickball because we just had players to play this baseball game or this whatever, kind of thing.
I mean, dude, like let's be honest though. Let's set the record straight. Runes did not make Bitcoin go sideways. There's a bunch of like macro things, obviously.
For sure.
That
Sorry
into
about that, guys.
But what Runes did is it did exacerbate the fucking downward motion of 90% of all assets and ordinals within the ecosystem. So it literally fucking killed ordinals.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's all I wanted to say.
Thanks for what's up, Ted? Let's see, nothing exclusive. Anyway, Chad, what's up, bro?
Yeah, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, I think similar to Elmo, I don't think that Runes, affected Bitcoin price at all.
No.
I will say though, like, I don't know if we added this to the topics and maybe
bitch. I mean, person.
I think is the interesting thing that we've seen actually now. I think that this cycle is you have a couple. Fuck that. You have a couple different products now that are sort of trying to capture, or indirectly and directly trying to capture, basically speculation over the mempool.
Yeah.
Right? So something like Alchemia, I believe is alchemia.io, as well as just uncommon goods, right? The rune that Casey launched, which is Rune 0. That, right, I think is indirectly sort of tracking the mempool and, is because of basically, I don't know, less than 20 sats per Revite since really the launch of runes and the halving, uncommon goods is sort of trading at where the mempool is at. And then, right, you have Alchemia, which is a, direct sort of speculation engine. And you can, I believe it's every 24 hours, basically speculate over whether the mempool will be over a certain, rate or not. Right? If you believe it's going to be over. And like this came into, I guess, really into the discussion just this past week when there was, I guess it was last week, right? We talked about it briefly on the show last week about Babylon, right? And they're sort of staking and tons of people trying to get into that and the mempool spiking and people then made money as well as probably lost money on Alchemia, going long or short the mempool. That's something we haven't seen before. Right, I think that's a really interesting, product. We've now we got like what fucking 40 different prediction markets launching on every different chain.
Yeah,
I know there's 3 that are launching on Bitcoin.
That's
like the new NFT marketplace, honestly.
That kind of would be kind of fun on Bitcoin. Just like, oh no, like I'm not looking at Poly Market, but like that'd be give something for degens to do.
That's what people think, right? But it's just like, oh, let's do it on Bitcoin.
What about this BitX thing that ZK? Can we talk about that a little?
I think it's so cool. I think it really is cool, and I'm gonna reach out to ZK after and see like if we can help in any way.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, because I do think that that's a really. I was looking at all the resources and everything.
How would we help?
BitX. So they have a couple different models.
I'm gonna text them now.
I think the most expensive model that you can get for a BitX right now is like $150 or so, and then you can easily sort of it can ship to your house. You set it up easily with some of their software, and you're up and running with a little home miner. And like I was looking at videos, it doesn't seem like it's that loud. So like it seems like you could honestly just set it up in your kitchen. It's probably about like that big. All in all, just sort of a chipset. They got the ASIC miner in there, a little PC fan, and you're sort of off and to the race. Basically, right, his Substack was talking about the centralization in mining, right, with one company really having over 50% of the hash rate, which is Bitmain, and this potentially BitX, right, as the sort of counter to that, right? Potentially, if there's enough people that are able to get BitXs, which I think $150 is pretty affordable. It's like a Christmas gift right there.
Yeah.
It could help secure
you
the
know,
network.
yeah, it could help decentralize the network.
Yeah.
Right? More
yeah,
so.
Yeah.
Well, the biggest fear has always been for proof of work a 51% attack, right? And
Yeah.
now what you're saying is, one specific centralized or one mining group effectively does have control over 51% of the. So it's like that is a reality now, and the only way we can actually do that is if we democratize the mining of Bitcoin.
mean, when you really think about it too, like how much for, I think even now, right? Like you could sell one of your RSEC miners for a BitAxe, right? Like most of us, right, got the airdrop for an RSEC miner back in early this year.
Yeah.
And then, people then ended up running those all the way up to what, $5,000 or so, $4,000, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Like you could sell one of those right now, right? I think they're like $500 still or $600, and you could, you could then do
Get a
the
few
real
of those
ASIC
BitAxe.
miners, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like
Well,
I think it's really cool.
Well,
and
he
it's
doesn't mistake. He doesn't mistake tweet, and he also deletes his tweets.
Yeah.
And it's not because they're bad.
No.
He just says, "Hey, But like, so
I think people should also take a look. ZK has like 3 other articles or sort of substacks that he's written over time.
Yeah.
One I think is related to just sort of like NFTs and basically NFT AMMs, which is probably not related to any of the stuff we're doing so far. But one of his most popular really substacks is like, I think something he put out in February that was a joint piece with Nullish, right? Talking about, rare sats, and that sort of piece, I think, was sent to a lot of people, and I think the foundation for a lot of people getting into inscriptions.
Yeah.
So that was a really pivotal piece, I think, for a lot of people. I'd urge people to look at his Substack and read all of his stuff.
Yeah. I'm subscribed to that. But yeah, dude. Other than that, man, I mean,
Great show.
Let's fucking call it. Hey, this is Ordinals Are Dead. We're still alive. There's only 3 of us here. There's,
But because of budget cuts, because Ordinals
budget
are
cuts.
Yeah, because of budget cuts.
because of budget
Yeah.
cuts.
Deficits.
Next week, this is a radio show.
inflation
Listen,
and,
thanks for joining us. I'm fucking Troy. Wait, I'm not fucking Troy. I'm Troy.
If
Troy
he
fucking.
could fuck Troy, he
Troy
would
is
fuck
fucking.
Troy.
Troy is
Hi, Vince.
fucking.
Sell. Listen, you guys have a good one. I'm out of here. You take care, boys.
That's the OED show.
That's the OAD show. It's hard to end the show.